Today we're going to show you how to save $257 on this Home Depot dupe. We saw this faux succulent living wall at Home Depot for $290. These living walls are really popular right now and you see them everywhere. We were so excited to see one at Home Depot that we just had to have one. But not at $290 or even on sale for $245. That's way too much. So to solve this high cost problem, we had to make it ourselves. And I figured we could do it for just under $40. To save your hard-earned dollars, we're going to be using affordable materials found anywhere. For the backing, we're using for sale signs, putting them together with duct tape and cutting them to size once we spray paint them. Then to attach everything, we're using spray foam. To add color, we're using acrylic craft paints at $1 a bottle. The frame is made from wood slats from Home Depot for just $2.33 each. And the big savings are the pine cones, found everywhere for what? Free. So let's get this money-saving project started. Basically, we take a nice little trip over to Home Depot. That's where we got all of our supplies. Unless we had some around the house that we used for free. So you're going to need 2 signs, 1 can of matte black spray paint, and some slats. And that's where you'll find them. I left a stick out for you. And if you're going to be doing the all-weather version, you're going to have to pick up some great stuff, spray foam. Appreciate your support by sharing this video with family and friends. This project is 41 inches high by 19 inches wide. I did this entire video without the use of power tools so that it's accessible to everybody. So here's what you're going to need. Now don't worry if you miss it. You can always come back and watch it again. So you will need 2 slats measured at 41 inches. Then you'll need 2 slats measured at 16 inches to go in between the 2 41s. And then you'll need 10 slats cut at 19 inches to go across. So measure twice and then take an X-Acto blade or some kind of blade and score your measuring line so that you get a nice clean cut. Then you can take any saw that you might have around the house. I'm using a little coping saw here. But if you have a little miter box and saw or any kind of little saw at home, you can use whatever it is that you need to cut this board. So just a quick recap, you'll need 2 at 41 inches. And then you'll need 2 at 16 inches for the outside of your frame. And now we'll start to paint our slats before we put them all together. We use this dark brown acrylic paint that we got off of Amazon. I'll leave a link below if you want to access that one. But if you don't and you have some at home already, just use that. And when you're painting your slats, you just have to do the top and the sides. So I'm using some old signs that I had around the house already, so our measurements won't be the same as yours. And I spray painted them matte black. If you're using the signs from Home Depot, you'll need 2 of those signs. But in our case, they're a little smaller, so we'll be needing 3 of them. And once you have your measurement, I used black Gorilla tape, and you'll have to tape them together just on one side. I made the mistake of doing both sides, and the shine of the tape wasn't that attractive. Once I finished the background, I did a rough layout of the frame. Now what I found when I did that was that the white was showing from the background, so I'll have to cut off 1/2 inch on the top and on the side. Then you'll do a rough layout of the outside border again and make sure it hangs over about 1/4 inch. Then you'll be using the 19-inch slats that you cut, and you'll want to be putting 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, and 3 groups of 2 evenly spaced between the top and the bottom. If you're using the for sale signs, the 2 middle slats will cover the tape that you put on there. So to attach your slats, you could use a combination of some hot glue and E6000. Just put a little dab of hot glue on there to hold it in place while the E6000 sets. That's a lot quicker and easier. But we're going with the all-weather version, so we're going to be using the spray foam. Now to use this, all you need is a Ziploc bag, your spray foam, and you'll spray it inside there so you can make like a little icing piper. When you're using the spray foam, follow the safety precautions on the can. Use it in a well-ventilated area, and take some caution with gloves, goggles, and a mask. So put some spray foam into the Ziploc bag and cut off a little bit of the corner, and that'll be your applicator for the foam, which we're using as a glue. And this is what not to do. When I first started using it, I just tried using the hose itself, and obviously this is a really hot mess. So here I did use it right out of the can, but you have to get a really good trigger control on it. We found that the Ziploc bag method gave you way more control and was a lot cleaner. So we are using the spray foam as a glue because A, it's waterproof, B, it's heat proof, so that your living wall won't melt on your wall. As you can see here, I am struggling a bit with this right out of the nozzle, and it's a good thing we thought about the Ziploc bag because, like I said, it gives you a lot more control and it's really easy to use. So then we'll glue down the border first. You can use whatever method you like, hot glue and E6000, but we are using the foam, and it does require a certain set time. It's about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So when you do put it in place, make sure you put some weights on there to keep it down. So you do need some weights to keep the foam from expanding and to adhere it to the background, and we used some Campbell's Chunky Soup cans. And while you're waiting for that to set, you could make yourself a nice nutritious lunch with some Campbell's Chunky Soup. It's good. I am secretly hoping that Campbell's will sponsor us. So after a nice nutritious lunch, we're back outside to see how it all looks. It's been about 30 minutes. Now we'll just take it off the backing, then just flip it over and trim off the excess foam. And when you are doing this project, make sure you put down some paper or something to protect your tabletop. And doing this part is really easy. It comes off like a dream with a good knife. And like I say, it is a bit of extra effort, but it's worth it to make it all weatherproof. As you can see here, the project requires 3 sticks. Now I happen to have 3 pieces of driftwood that I've collected over time. Now you can get any kind of branch from your neighborhood that you like. The center branch is the longest one and the other 2 are the same size. So you'll start with the center branch and make sure that overhangs about 2 inches on each end, and then you can mark off your other branches accordingly so that they're a little bit shorter than the center. And you can just use a tree lopper to trim your branches. Then once your branches have all set in your slats, make sure to clean off the excess on the front. It does clean up very easily. It does look like a bit of a hot mess here, but it does clean off very easily and scrapes off the branches nice. And once that's all cleaned up, if there's any areas that show a little bit, just touch them up with some of that brown paint. So the basic frame is done and it's looking good. Now let's start making our pine cone succulents. Then take some pine cones and put them in a box. Take some tree loppers, put it in the center, push down hard, and cut them up. This is the easiest way to cut large pine cones. So for the project, you're going to be needing 48 succulents. So cut about 24 pine cones in half. So here are our cut pine cones that are going to become our succulents. So now we're going to be painting these white. I just put them on these egg cartons just to sort them out. I did run out of paint, and I'm not really going to show you me painting because you all know what spray painting looks like. And yeah, I just put it on there, but just make sure that you get every nook and cranny when you're spray painting them. And here's my bag of spray painted pine cones. I used acrylic paint to paint these, and I'll leave a link below. I got these off of Amazon. But feel free to use whatever you have. So we referenced the original project, and as you can see here, there are some gray and pink succulents, and that's what we're starting with. And you'll need about 13 of the gray and pink succulents, so start off using the gray first. Just remember to cover all the nooks and crannies, and it is a light gray. With the white base, it covers really well. Then just cover the tips of the spines with some light pink. Depending on the paint that you're using, you may need 2 coats. On these ones, I'll be using a moss green, and I'll be using the bottom of the pine cone, which looks just like a succulent. And you'll need 15 of these. And for these ones, we'll be using the tops of the pine cones, and that'll be a light green, and you'll need 9 of these. And you'll need a second coat on these, and you'll need 11 medium green. Altogether, 48 pine cone succulents. So we'll start off by making our rough layout using the pink and grays. Reference the original picture and put them around so you get even distribution. Then add the rest of your colors to your rough layout. Then you'll want to set some of them up against your branches to give it that natural look. On the original, down the sides of the living wall are a bunch of greeneries. So we got these from Dollar Tree, and we're going to put those on the sides just like in the original. So I'll take the greens in little clusters and then I'll zip tie them together. That way it's easier to put them inside. In this case, you'll want to use the small size zip ties. Then you'll make about 8 little bundles, and they'll go down on the edge of each layer. Now when you're gluing these on, you'll probably want to use your hot glue and E6000, which would be easier, but we're going to be using the piped on spray foam method. If you are using the spray foam method, use as little as you need because it sticks really well, and then just lay it down there and wait the half hour for it to set. In this case, less is more. If you put too much foam on the back, it will expand all over the place. So I just worked my way across the project from top to bottom, and it took about 10 minutes to do. We didn't show this part, but when you're finished the project, just spray it with some clear coat. See, my puppy's got my back, protecting me. Now we're going to put on our hanger. A little pro tip, you might want to do this before you put on the wood slats. Makes it a whole lot easier. So then you'll just want to find the center of that, and then mark 2 spots and go about 2 inches, 2¼ inches down from the top of your frame. Then just make a hole with your heated glue gun. Then you'll take a large zip tie, put that through one hole, fish it through to the other side. Once that's through the holes, just attach it, but don't pull it all tight yet. Just check. So pull it, measure it, pull it down again until you get the height that you're looking for. This may look like a really complicated craft, but it's really quite easy. So I'd really encourage you to do this faux succulent living wall. You can save a whole lot of money, and the end result is really, really nice. Thanks for crafting with me today, and I'll see you next time.